Tell us about Neal Harvey.
I'm currently engaged as the creative producer of Melbourne Fringe Festival, which means that I work with the core team of 6 here to deliver the artist and sector development programs that we present year round, and then the keynote and creative program of the annual festival as well.
That's now. You were working with Oberon. Are you still?
I'm not, no. Unfortunately, the demands of that job and this job mean that's a job for 2 humans rather than 1. So I was a founding member of that organisation, lucky enough to work with those guys for 4 years. And I'm very interested, and I will be attached to them for quite a while to come. But they're moving forward without my help at the moment.
Are they in Adelaide for the festival at the moment?
They're here in Melbourne at the moment. This year they're a bit scattered around actually. A couple of members are off doing different things. Marcel is actually with Hot House Theatre in Albury with Donga as a writer in residence. Emily's actually rehearsing in Brisbane where she's about to do a show with LeBoit, and then she's doing an STC show after that. So they're a little bit scattered, but they'll come back together again as of June when they start working together.
Any idea on what?
They'll be in a creative development for their new work with Carriage Works in Sydney. So that's where they'll start. 2011 will start for them.
Over the years you were working with them, did you have any specific goals? What was your focus with Oberon?
Oberon was founded to create work for the artists involved. Its mission statement was as simple and as complicated as that. A couple of the company members were new to Melbourne, and we'd worked together quite well, as we thought, in Brisbane, but it was time to kind of branch out and expand our practice beyond that city. And so we started a company because we knew a great writer and we knew some great actors, and they needed a producer, and Ben Eltham was actually involved early on with the company, and he was very instrumental in getting the initial operation of the company up and off the ground. And so we just started doing some work together. We were fortunate enough to get a kick along and some help from TheatreWorks with a company initiative award from them, and that really we were able to roll on to the next show, to the next show, to the next show. The company very quickly wanted to scale up their operations and not just be working in one city. So I think the third show that they ever did was a 5-week tour to Adelaide as part of the Fringe Festival over there. And that then followed on to a Brisbane Festival show at the Powerhouse. And then this year last year now, they've just been to Sydney. So they've kind of been constantly scaling up everything that they do to try and fill up a year. I mean, I just don't think the audiences in Australia are potentially big enough for a small company to be able to do 3 shows in the 1 year, in the same city. So that was always the goal, to give opportunities for everyone, and to do that we needed to kind of scale up and create this thing out of nothing that was robust enough to move around the country to find the audiences for the work.
What do you think of the networks that exist to support that kind of national touring? Particularly for a small or independent company? Making that jump from small local work to working in other states seems to elude many of the smaller companies.
I mean, there are definitely very well publicised, operations out there like Performing Lines and Long Paddock to try and support touring, and there are some great government initiatives as well. Regional Arts Victoria, has a lot of opportunities, and their music program as well. So across a few different art forms even, but I don't think those opportunities are still relatively few compared to how much work is how many companies and how many artists there are. I think that those networks and those opportunities are becoming more transparent, but it's only just kind of starting. I think the informal networks are starting to become formalised. There's a program at the Adelaide Fringe run called the Honeypot Scheme, which is about producers and interstate programmers and presenters coming to Adelaide for a couple of nights, staying, seeing some shows, getting to meet some artists, having a chance to artists to informally pitch, I guess, their work to them. So someone's coming from Darwin Festival will be there, someone from Carriage Works will come, Brisbane Powerhouse, that sort of thing. At Melbourne Fringe we definitely get some interstate producers coming down. Joe from Darwin Fest and Brisbane Powerhouse were both here to see stuff last festival. I think those kinds of informal networks are starting to be formalised by programs like that, and I think I'd like to see, and I'd like to be part of seeing more of that happen, to give help teach artists and help teach our young and emerging producers how it is to get work to that next level, because that really is the difference between doing a show every 4 years and, you know, being able to do one show a year by being able to move around. What was I just about to say? I think in Melbourne, I think one of the great informal works and one of the great education opportunities that's happened has really been provided by the Garden of Unearthly Delights in Adelaide. I think, I'm sure those guys would say it as well, that's provided a lot of short-range touring opportunities for artists that might not have otherwise considered going to the Adelaide Fringe. I mean, Adelaide Fringe this year has got 759 shows in it, and that's huge. And the growth of that festival over the last 3 years, I think in part, some of that can be contributed to their ability to attract Melbourne artists. And part of that, I think, has been to do with the Garden, you know, providing this, you know, existent hub. And, you know, artists have to apply and they have to make the cut to get in there. But there's artists who've gone over and done a week of shows and had a taste of, right, this is how we make something work and this is how it can happen. So I don't think that's a formal network, you know, as such, or an opportunity, but I think informally a lot of artists have probably learned a lot from the growth of that particular festival. I mean, it's only a day-away drive. It's not like jumping in the van and driving to Cairns, you know. So I think those informal opportunities, I would like to see them become more and more formalised and to continue educating our producers how to make that stuff happen. I mean, I should add the Sydney Fringe and the Brisbane Under the Radar Festival are offering opportunities for, you know, emerging and you know, young career artists as well, that they can get up there and put their own show on, and all that kind of experience helps. You know, Under the Radar didn't exist a few years ago, and Sydney Fringe has only now just been up last year for the first time. So those opportunities are there. I think we can do better, and we can all try and be better at what we do and give everyone more opportunities.
In the next few months, artists are going to start scouring the city for possible venues for their fringe shows. It's a common complaint among artists that access to venues is becoming more difficult and that the range of spaces available is decreasing. What's your take on that?
Every time we have conversations, or I find myself involved in an infrastructure conversation, you know, there are more opportunities or less opportunities, or there's more government funding there, or there's less. I don't know. I think those measurements are all relative. You know, I mean, you know, I remember when the Black Lung starting on Smith Street and doing stuff there. That's not happening anymore. You know, and that was a great little venue and great for that company. You know, and they turned it into their own thing, and you know, they had great success doing that. But then we had the Dog Theatre in Footscray. Like, to have a theatre, a massive hub like that over in the West, and that's only been there for the last couple of years. So I find that stuff waxes and wanes. I definitely think that it's not getting cheaper to run a venue, and you know, the overheads it's not becoming more affordable or a more viable business prospect. I mean, we don't have the storeroom now, but we do have Abbotsford Convent, you know, has emerged, you know, recently, and you know, that's taking up more and more opportunities and providing opportunities.